Man, I should have watched Spider-Man again. Hi, welcome to Film Stash. My name is Douglas Campbell. So there wasn't a whole lot out this week after Spider-Man. I could have chose to watch The Sex Purge. I could have chosen Ice Cream Man. I decided, fuck it, I'm just gonna gorge myself with some ice cream. I haven't really seen the 1995 Ice Cream Man. I decided to check that one out too, and I'm gonna pit these two movies head to head to see which one reigns supreme. Now, I'll admit, premise for this video, it's kind of fucked because the 2026 film, it's not really a remake or a continuation of the 1995 film. Eli Roth decided to take this idea and just kind of run with it, kind of do his own thing. But there aren't exactly a whole lot of movies out there about killer ice cream men, so I think it's fair that you can compare their merits. But also, it's my channel, so I can do whatever I want. I'm gonna judge both films across 4 categories, and whoever wins each round, they get a scoop. With that said, let's get started with the story. The plot to the original film, it's pretty simple. There's a deranged ice cream man that kidnaps people and grinds them into ice cream. Eventually, a few kids catch on and they try to stop him. The stakes with this film, they are somehow both incredibly low and incredibly high. It just felt to me like a cheap Goosebumps episode from the 90s. They include a little more vulgarity and sex in there. Honestly, this film could be a good double feature with the original Leprechaun film starring Warwick Davis. This movie absolutely does not take itself seriously, like at all. Especially when it cuts back to the Ice Cream Man's flashbacks in like a mental ward. Like the lighting is goofy, the actors involved are goofy. This movie should have been set in a circus for how goofy it is. I think my bigger problem with this movie is you have this Ice Cream Man and you keep shifting the focus away from him. Instead, you get more of the antics of the small town. I don't really care about the antics of most of this town. Eventually, the movie decides to make the kids the lead. You should have done that from the beginning. Having kids face off against an evil ice cream man that nobody believes, it's basically a knockoff It. This whole experience just feels like the writers did not have enough ideas to stretch into a 90-ish minute movie. The new movie, it takes a different approach entirely. A creepy ice cream man enters town, and suddenly, all the kids who ate ice cream, they start killing all the adults. So it's ultimately up to the kids who did not eat the ice cream to just figure out what the hell's going on. It's basically Children of the Corn, which I was not expecting at all, but honestly, you know what? That was fun. There wasn't much of a plot outside of this one either, but ironically, it was a lot closer to what I was envisioning the original Ice Cream Man film. The problem with this movie, though, is that it becomes so chaotic that the plot is kind of secondary. I mean, I'm not complaining, but I think it's something worth noting. It's more a showcase for the special effects. Neither movie has a great story or anything. Between the two, I think I'm gonna go with the 2026 film. The Ice Cream Man. Clint Howard. He's the 5th best Howard behind Bryce, Ron, Mo, and Curly. And truthfully, I like seeing Clint Howard pop up and stuff. I think he's the best part of this thing, which admittedly isn't saying a whole lot. He plays the craziness so over the top in this movie that he's rarely scary. Like at times he just feels like one of those haunted house workers that's told to act scary. For the most part, it just didn't work on me. But when he's alone with the kids in this movie, I don't know. There's this stranger danger element that's just really eerie, and I don't want to be mean and say it's his face, but his unusual face helps. Despite this movie also being called Ice Cream Man, Ari Millen in the movie, he isn't nearly as much of a presence. From one mustache guy to another, I like his look, but he mostly just stands around smiling creepily in the background.
He's just standing there, menacingly!
Like the kids are actually doing the creepy stuff. It's not this guy. Like you barely notice him amongst all the chaos. And it's a movie called Ice Cream Man. His backstory and eventual payoff are kind of decent, but overall, I'm gonna give the scoop to the 1995 film, The Carnage. When I heard the premise of this film, I was expecting some really creative gore. Unfortunately, the $2 million budget with this movie, I think it could only go so far with these creatives at the helm. What we ultimately get is a bunch of Spirit Halloween body parts in vats of ice cream. That's the level we're working with. There's a dummy head on a giant ice cream cone. That's fun. He also kills a dog and throws it into ice cream. Not so fun. But then there's a scene that genuinely made me nauseous. He gets an eyeball and he serves it on an ice cream kind of like a cherry. That was so disgusting, but that's the shit that I want more of. I think back to a movie called The Toxic Avenger, where Toxie, he takes a criminal and he basically shoves ice cream ingredients into his mouth and milkshakes him to death. Like, that was the kind of creative carnage I was expecting here, but just didn't get. Now, the gore in this new film, that's where the movie really shines. Like, you get all these creative ice cream kills, but then the movie, it kind of goes above and beyond. You get all these creative kills with school supplies, household appliances, pretty much just like anything you can imagine. And with how the children interact with all these different things, they act like children. Like, these kids are a bunch of sick bastards. Like, the camera knows when to linger on the effect and when to look away. And there were a few times I laughed just because of how insane the shit was. Like, I can't even show you half the clips of this movie on here because YouTube will go crazy. For me, this easily goes to 2026. The tension. Now, there aren't many moments in this film where I felt a lot of tension. Like, the music is really working overtime to ensure that this thing feels scary. And whatever tension does get built in this movie, it gets severely undercut because it keeps cutting to black randomly. Like, what the fuck is this? I own this. Why do I keep getting cable breaks? But as I previously stated, like, whenever Clint Howard is alone with these kids, it is just so gross, and that's where most of the tension of this movie is. Now, the new movie, like, I was kind of flinching and also morbidly curious just how these kids would kill the adults. But because there's so much gore thrown at you, like, any tension that I felt, it quickly fizzled out. At a certain point, like, I'm just kind of numb. When you look at these two movies comparatively, I guess I like the 1995 film's tension more because it's a bit more understated. So I'm gonna give this to the 1995 Ice Cream Man.
Final scoops.
As you can tell, these movies take vastly different approaches to the same basic idea. I don't think the 1995 film has a lot going for it other than the Clint Howard performance, so I would give this thing a 2 out of 10. But also, the 2026 film, I'm not giving it that much of a high praise either. It suffers from terrible acting, a weak script. However, the Gore showcase was like so goofy that I had a really good time with it. And I originally gave it a 3 out of 10. However, in the movie, I noticed there were like these little animated sequences that looked kind of like shitty AI. I later went home and Googled it, and it turns out that Eli Roth did use shitty AI with this movie. He tried to pass it off as hand-drawn animation, and that's just gross. Like, the movies could have done without those AI sequences. I lowered it from a 3 to a 2. I know what you're thinking. This isn't much of a competition considering I gave both of these movies a 2 out of 10, and also they both got 2 scoops of ice cream. So I guess just watch the 1995 film. If you're a completionist that likes goofy slasher films, definitely check out the original. As for me, I was just miserable this week. So did you see either Ice Cream Man film? What's your favorite flavor of ice cream? Comment below, let me know. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. My current subscriber goal is to get to 1,000 subscribers. So if you're able to help me out, please consider hitting this little button below. That's all the time we have for today here on Film Stash. My name is Douglas Campbell, and if you excuse me, I'm gonna add to the stash.